Hello everyone, Schroomraver here, and today I am so excited to be bringing you my draft analysis for the Pokémon Premier League Division 1 Season 4. Yes indeed, we are back, the PPL is returning for its 4th season and I'm so excited to be a part of it. We have got some fantastic new people involved, it's going to be really cool. The people we've got are just fantastic. Their links will be down in the description below. I forget exactly who, like off the top of my head, that we have involved. I couldn't just list them for you, but it's the usual crowd, right? Plus we've got some interesting new people coming in. We've got the promotees, of course, coming up, and some brand new fellas in as well. The champion, incidentally, Trav, he's not taking part anymore, so that is a vacant championship up for grabs, which we, Parasect Germain, are looking to take back after Season 2. In fact, you know what? Bugger it all, I'm going to find out exactly who's involved, because that would seem to be like the thing to do. So let's do that. I said there are many of the old crowd back, so for example, let's go down the list and see who we got. OnesieBanette, he is returning with Birmingham Spritzy, his new team name. Shout out to me for suggesting that to him a little bit. Go me. Schady, unfortunately, is back. I say unfortunately, it's going to be good to face him again. Schady's back with Bayern Munich. NecroStevo, he returns once again with the Eternal City Enders. UnderTheRadar, Kelly, my man, he's back here with the Maryland Terrapins, going back to an old team name he used to use. Foofoo with Newcastle United, of course, is here. As is the TheDonphanatic, Jack and Norwich Skitty, founder of our league, he's here. Slyroh, once again, Slyroh returns, looking to capitalise on a few good seasons. Then we have the only actual newcomer to the PPL, who hasn't taken part in either division before, and rather scarily, it is George, SceptileMC, and the San Francisco Arcaniners. George is here, that's a terrifying prospect. Then we've got the two promotees, Monotooi, he was champion of Division 2 last season, so he's up after a flawless season before. And of course PaullyMac and Thunderbolt and Wanderers. Mono is Tampa Bay Luxrays, PaullyMac is Thunderbolt and Wanderers, he was promoted as well. Good to see him up in D1. And of course, bringing up the final entry, other than myself, we have UnlawfulExile, Liam, and West Chan United. So, those are the teams. Now, what I'm going to do is get into the draft, which is what you're here for, of course. The draft, I went into the draft with a sort of different idea to what I usually do. What I usually do is kind of focus on like cores or something and then basically just wing it for the entire time. Not this time. This time I made plans. I made a lot of them. My total count of draft plans, I think I had like 37. I made loads. And my main idea was to kind of build around mons as opposed to around cores or around ideas, was to build around mons. And I was quite confident that I'd be able to get my first pick that I wanted, because in the draft order I was 5th out of 12. And we've got a lot of new sort of Pokemon being allowed in. So Kyurem Black is back, for example. Volcanion is in, Hooper is around, of course. So a lot of Pokemon are sort of being allowed back into the format. And people are going to want to try them out, and they're going to want to draft them as early as possible. So I thought, 5th pick, I'm pretty certain I'm going to get the one Pokemon I really want first pick. And this is a Pokemon that was in a lot of my draft plans. There was a vast majority of them. And as it turns out, I did get that Pokemon. So, the first draft pick for Parasect Germain PPL D1 Season 4 is going to be Excadrill. I chose Excadrill. Tinfiltrator the Excadrill is here. And yeah, Excadrill was really a massive part of a lot of my plans. I just wanted to get my a good hazard remover early, you know, and Excadrill, arguably along with Starmie, one of the best offensive spinners, I think we would say. You know, it's consistently a threat in this kind of format, even without sand support. It's a very powerful threat with that big base 135 attack. It's easy to forget, of course, that Excadrill has good natural bulk, base 110 HP is nothing to sniff at either. And 88 speed, as I say, even if you don't have sand, that's very usable, it's a very, very viable Scarfer. And it provides me with a very early electric immunity, and one other reason I really wanted Excadrill Electric immunities often come in the form of ground types, and electric types will often tack on hidden power ice as their main form of coverage. Now of course, Excadrill takes ice type attacks neutrally, this is another reason I quite like it, and a neutral hidden power against a base 110 HP mon like Excadrill is not going to be doing all that much. So there we go, we've got Excadrill in, and I was very happy with that. As I say, it was part of a lot of my plans. Now, it obviously was then going to take a while for the draft to snake back to me. The plan that I was going with, and my first and really the plan I wanted, was this core of 3 of Excadrill, Mew, and Mandibuzz. That way, I would have one of the best offensive rapid spinners, a fantastic defensive reliable recovery defogger with a good typing, and that would allow me to take the pressure off Mew from bringing in a defensive defogging role all the time, and I'd be able to go full ham with a mon I've wanted to use for ages and just go crazy. Now, unfortunately, Mew was the first snipe that occurred for me. Monotooi took that early, but you know, realistically I was thinking, okay, it was unrealistic to expect Mew to be able to come back to me. I had hope, because in Division 2, spoiler alert, Mew wasn't drafted, I don't think. So I had a bit of hope, but I thought, you know what, let's be realistic, it probably wasn't going to happen. Now, this means I have to come up with a secondary. And I thought, T-Tar looks fun, because I have to say, spoilers again, Sand wasn't in any of my plans. Excadrill was, but Sand wasn't. I wanted to draft Excadrill, I didn't want to draft Sand. But looking at the ones I wanted to take later on, I thought, actually, Tyranitar looks very good. Not only does it provide Sand, it's got a very nice defensive typing for the kind of stuff I want to draft. So I thought, brilliant, I'll take Tyranitar. And then one pick before me, Slyroh, of all people, Slyroh took it. He took it one before me, and I was like, are you serious? It was annoying. I was literally going to take it the next turn, and he took it. So I thought, you know what? Damn it to hell. Let's go back to another one of my plans. Let's amalgamate. Let's take something just stupid, crazy, bulky. Let's do it. Let's take Mega-Venusaur. So, Mega-Venusaur is my second draft, and yeah, you want to talk about bulk, you want to talk about Mega-Venusaur. A grass type that is not weak to ice or fire because of that thick fat ability is fantastic. Huge defensive stats, 123, 120, that's great, supported by a base 80 HP, which is not bad. Good offensive stats, and it's not exactly slow. It's a very good defensive Mega, it can go offensive, it has knockoff support, it has recovery of course, you know, it's got all kinds of cool things. I faced off against Mega-Venusaur last season with Liam, and he came out of left field with Light Screen, which I didn't even know it got. And I'm building up a nice fairy resistance with those two Excadrill and Mega-Venusaur. So Mega-Venusaur, who is going to be named, I've forgotten what I've called it. It doesn't really matter too much, but let's see if I can find out what I've called it. So I'm clicking away, this is incredibly unprofessional. Carson, of course, Mega-Venusaur is Carson. After, of course, Toxic Gaming. My man Carson, that's Mega-Venusaur. Yeah, happy with this one. Gives me a nice water resist as well to go along with Excadrill. It's another electric resistance / immunity, so I'm building up a nice resistance there too. So yeah, we're looking pretty good with that. Mega-Venusaur matches up very nicely defensively with Excadrill, so yeah, good pairing there. Now, snaking back to me with my third pick, and I knew I wanted to take a fairy as soon as possible. There were a few left, but there was one I had my eye on for quite some time. And I've seen it used effectively by several coaches in various leagues, and I decided I wanted it for myself this time around. So, it is time to let the bodies hit the Florges. Yep, we got Florges. Let the bodies is my Florges nickname, and that is going to be my third pick. Monstrous special defense. We all know that the Florges tanks special hits. You know, base 154. That is immense, and it is in fact the second highest stat I have on my team individually, so that's interesting. It's easy to then therefore invest in defense and, you know, tank hits on the special side without needing too much investment. It's no slouch offensively with base 112 special attack. It is my first cleric, which is grand. It can run effective setup, you know, wish, its own recovery. This is going to be a great support mon, once again matching up very nicely with my other two. So yeah, Florges coming in as my third pick, and it's good. One of the other main things is I don't have to face it. These are three Pokemon that I just don't like facing Excadrill is tough to take on unless you have a dedicated answer to it. Mega-Venusaur just is very difficult to kill, and it's the same thing with Florges. If you're not prepared for it, it will deal with you, basically. If you don't have powerful physical stab to take it out super effectively, it's going to be a problem. I encountered that last season, along with many others. So yeah, Florges is my third pick. Very happy with that. Now, coming back to me fourth, and I was looking at what I had, and I thought, okay, one of the reasons I wanted to take Excadrill and other hazard removal with Mew was to take the pressure off Mew. Now it comes down to taking the pressure off Excadrill. I need another hazard remover, basically, is what we're going with. And looking at the types that I didn't have and types I was planning for, what I really wanted was Blastoise. Because Blastoise would give me the bulky water that is so prevalent in this kind of format. I have Florges, which matches up nicely defensively with it, and is able to heal it with Wish and Heal Bell if necessary. And, you know, whilst Excadrill doesn't want to be spinning every week, Blastoise is generally quite happy to. But, rather unfortunately, I didn't get Blastoise. Liam got Blastoise because he had wanted to get the Mega Form, but that was sniped off him, so when it came to this round, he took Blastoise before he could get back to me. Now, much with Mew and T-Tar, you know, I wasn't too bothered by this. Mew I wasn't bothered by because I didn't think you'd get back to me anyway. Tyranitar was only temporarily in my plans as a substitute form, so that was fine. And Blastoise, I just figured to myself, you know what, it's okay, I was planning on taking more Rapid Spin anyway, I can just get that Mon now, and avoid it getting sniped from me before it can snake back. So, I decided to take my second spinner, and it's a Pokemon I do enjoy using, and that is going to be Hitmontop. I took Kylie the Hitmontop because it's spinning around, move out of its way. Yeah, we bring in Hitmontop. This is a mon I've used extensively in VGC, now obviously differences in formats, but Hitmontop is just one of those fantastically lovely Pokemon that can run a very effective mixed defense that I really like. You know, base 95 defense coupled with Intimidate, and base 110 special defense with a potential Assault Vest. It doesn't have any recovery of its own anyway, so it doesn't really matter that it can't use any recovery moves because, you know, it doesn't get them. So, you know, it forms this very, very powerful defensive bastion with base 95 attack is pretty good anyway. Florges is my second Florges. Hitmontop, as I say, is my second rapid spinner. It gets all of the priority moves. It gets so much priority. It's absolutely fantastic when it comes to priority on Hitmontop. Bullet Punch, Mac Punch, Sucker Punch, Fake Out. All of these moves, I think it gets Feint as well, so you know there's that. And yeah, it adds, you know, this new dimension of Intimidate and mixed defense, which is sort of complementing Mega-Venusaur, which, grand, big fan of that. It is another Dark Resist as well. Now, when I've been drafting in the past, I've often found myself at odds with Dark types because I don't tend to have all that many resistances. Knockoff being such a prevalent move, I now have those three that I just picked. Mega-Venusaur can take knockoffs, Florges is resistant to them, and Hitmontop is incredibly resistant to them. So I'm glad to get Hitmontop into the side. I'm not averse to running an offensive spread of this either, you know, it can do that with base 95. I've been using Hitmontop in the CCL and it has been an absolute joy. It is not always going to be getting kills on kills every single week, but it has its job to do, and that is going to be mainly defensive. So at this point I had spent a lot of my money, if I'm honest. I'll try and remember to put sort of a budget remaining or budget use thing on screen. I can't do the quick maths in my head right about now. Let's see if I can. 34, 44, 46, 54. I spent just under half my budget, I think. Maybe just over. Anyway, you know, I needed to look a little bit cheaper. And what I also really wanted to do was look a little bit more offensive and speedy. Because, you know, Excadrill, Mega-Venu, Florges, Hitmontop, it was looking gross. But it wasn't looking particularly speedy, and there are things with power on there, but they're not like the most traditional, all of them we must attack kind of deal. So I decided what I needed was pace, I needed some power, and what I did quite want to get was some initiative gaining, because this team did not have any at this point. And I also wanted one more hazard remover. So I was at odds as to which of these to choose. Do I go with the pace? Do I go with the hazard removal? I thought to myself, I'll get one more hazard remover. I'll get that sorted out now. I can focus on pace and a bit of power later on, because I had plans I was going to go with. So what I actually wanted to do was revisit that Excadrill Mew Mandibuzz thing and get Mandibuzz for myself. Now unfortunately, once again, I was sniped here. Sam took that very shortly before I could. So I was thinking, okay, let's go back to the original plan, let's get some pace, let's get some initiative. Last season, I did pretty well, I think, with Blaziken, as a sort of newly allowed thing without its super duper powerful ability. Let's go with the other one of them. So for my 5th pick, I chose Greninja. Yep, Tung Fu the Greninja is here, bringing some much needed pace to my team. Base 122 is really nice. It's got good special attack, it's got workable attack, and it's not terribly frail, if we're being honest. You know, 72, 67, 71 on the defensive side. It's not all that bad. It gives me an offensive water type as opposed to bulky, which is new grounds for me. Previous water types I've had have all pretty much been on the bulky side. Greninja not so much, but I'm excited to use this guy. It doesn't get protein, of course, it only gets Torrent, but that's okay. You know, base 103 special attack is still workable. It gets all kinds of cool priority, it can run physical if need be, and, very interestingly, gets hazard. Spikes and T-Spikes are something I really like using in draft. And yeah, I like to hazard stack, and Greninja is one of the things that can do that quite effectively. So, looking forward to using that, getting some spikes up maybe, or just going all out offensive, get the initiative where I can. Greninja is going to be quite useful in that aspect. So, at this point we've spent a lot of our money. We've got Excadrill, Mega-Venusaur, Florges, Hitmontop and Greninja. So I was thinking about the things I still needed on my team, and the things I really needed were more Stealth Rockers. I only had Excadrill, I needed at least one more, ideally 2. So more Stealth Rock would be nice. I wanted a Dragon that could take hits, ideally on both sides. And I really wanted more initiative, more speed, I wanted fire offense. So the kind of things I was looking at. The next pick I really wanted was Druddigon, because I was thinking that's going to be great. That's a bulky dragon, mostly on the, can go very nicely bulky on the physical, put them off with the rough skin, get rocks up, and it can go offensive too. Then I could look into taking something like Entei or Darmanitan, and then focus on sort of the cheaper stuff later. And I was all set to do that, and then the biggest spanner was thrown into the works, as once again, one pick before I could take Druddigon, fucking Slyroh took it. And this ruined me, because now my entire plan was thrown into disarray. I had nothing to go on. I was thinking he's not possibly going to take Druddigon. He's not possibly going to, and I can then do my plan and I'll be set and it'll be fantastic, and he takes Druddigon. So I was stuck, basically. I was thinking, well, this is terrible. I wanted a dragon that could set up rocks and tank hits, mostly on the physical side. Druddigon's the only one that can do that. Wait a minute. Druddigon is not the only one that can do that. In the words of Yoda, there is another. Now, I've said that I want to use different Pokemon. As many different Pokemon as I can throughout the seasons. But sometimes, needs must. He's had a little bit of a break from Parasect Germain. Had a bit of a loan spell at Newcastle United, didn't do so well. He's hungry for more success. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Parasect Germain, our captain for the season, Tyrantrum! Yes, Blue Lines is back where he belongs. We got Tyrantrum. I'm so happy. Tyrantrum's back. Of course, you may remember, if you've been around since sort of the start of PPL, you'll know Season 2 Tyrantrum absolutely killed it, went 17-1, was a major force in us winning that championship. So yeah, more than happy to get Tyrantrum back. Base 122 attack with the head smash, with the rock head, you don't mess with that, you know how we do. There's not really a lot more to say on Tyrantrum, to be honest. At the time, Druddigon seemed like the worst snipe ever. It may yet turn out to be the best, because I was going to take Druddigon, but now I've got Tyrantrum. He's back. I'm happy to see him back in the side. He is a stalwart, of course, of Parasect Germain. Let's see if he can add to those impressive stats from Season 2. Use him offensively, use him defensively, he can do all of those things. So yeah, there's my second rocker, there's my bulky dragon. it gets setup options, it gets everything I need. It's Tyrantrum, you know? He's a stalwart, let's welcome him back. It's good times. So yes, Tyrantrum forms our 6th team member, and now we're really running low on funds. You know, at this point we've got, let's see, 32 million left, I think. 32 million, I think that's how much we had left. And yeah, I was happy with the team. It was a bit slow, and I was also noticing there are a few weaknesses that were really starting to creep in. Ground was looking to be a major problem, especially with something I plan to take later. Ground types were proving to be a little bit of an issue for me. Fighting too. I wasn't too happy with how much damage fighting types could do to me. So I needed to shore up some of my defensives typings. I needed ideally a ground immunity, but the problem was I also needed an electric type. And there are a few I was looking into. I really wanted to take Luxray later on, but again, I needed something that wasn't weak to ground. So thinking about stuff like Rotom forms, cheap Rotom forms, Rotom Fan could have been nice, I guess. But in the end, I decided to go with a Pokemon that I've been looking into using for a little while in format. It has great potential, I think, as a bulky mixed attacker, and that's going to be Electros. Yeah, the Itcher, Electros, shout out to Mighty Boosh. Electros is going to be our 7th team member. Very nice offensive stats, 115 and 105 are grand. It's not the quickest, but you know, it doesn't need to be. Especially given the fact that my U-turn user at the moment, I think I've only got the one, and that is indeed Greninja, is very quick. So I've got that slow, quick Volt Turn core going on here with Electros and Greninja. And of course, slow Volt switching into a threat like Tyrantrum, yeah, I'm down. Or indeed Excadrill, you know, I can do those kind of things. Electros, of course, massive, massive move coverage, no weaknesses, and immunity to ground, which is what I really, really needed. It also gave me something else for Bird Spam, which I was a little bit short on. Yeah. And great defensive stats as well, 85, 80, 80, it makes for a very useful Assault Vest user. That is a very popular thing, especially when it gets the likes of Drain Punch and Giga Drain, so it can actively heal itself through offense on both sides, which is really good. Yeah, Electros, I'm happy to have. It's another bulky offensive thing which really works for me, and yeah, looking forward to seeing it get some use for Parasect Germain. So, with 7 picks gone, I was looking once again to that elusive fire type. Now this was an interesting round actually, because what I did here was absolutely snipe Schady. He wanted this Pokemon very badly. Now, cards on the table, I knew he wanted this Pokemon, but I had it on my plans long before I knew he wanted it. I shifted it up in priority getting this thing because I wanted my 3rd Rapid Spinner, I wanted my 3rd Stealth Rock user, I wanted my Fire type. For my 8th round pick, I selected Torkoal. Yep, Torkoal is going to be my 8th round pick. As I say, it's that 3rd Stealth Rocker which really takes the pressure off Tyrantrum and Excadrill, who don't necessarily want to be doing that every week. It also, similar thing for Rapid Spin, taking that pressure off of Excadrill and sometimes maybe off of Hitmontop. I love using Torkoal in the lower tiers. I think it makes for a very effective Assault Vest user, because it can get rid of stat boost with Clear Smog. It has a decent set of attacking stats, both on 85. Its speed is useless, but it's a Torkoal, what are you going to do? Something's going to be slow. Yeah, Stealth Rock, Rapid Spin, all these good things. Lava Plume is a great fire move for a defensive type, because you're looking to get that 30% burn chance, much like Scald, though of course Scald is an 80% chance, and I think Lava Plume's actually about 20, let's be real. Yeah, it gets some nice coverage, you know, Earth Power's okay, it can get some decent coverage on the physical side too. Torkoal, you know, we've seen it go early in other leagues, which was interesting, shout out to Sizz, but I'm glad to have Torkoal on the team. It's another very powerful physical defensive mon. And yeah, in a pinch, I'm hoping that it can do a similar kind of job that Sandslash did for me last time. You know, not necessarily taking massive hits all the time, but taking a hit, responding with some team support, and then getting one out of that. It also was my first Will-O-Wisp user on the team, which I was really lacking, and I was quite worried that I didn't have a Will-O-Wisp user on my team. I really wanted one. So yeah, Torkoal coming in with some nice team support, and if all else fails, it can Shell Smash. So yeah, that is the 8th pick. Now, when it snaked back to me, I decided what I really needed was some more special stuff, special bulk, special attack. I had some good ones, but I wanted more. And I saw an opportunity here to grab a Pokemon that I really quite like. And this is actually going to be the second returning member for Parasect Germain, way back, harking back all the way to the heady heights of Season 1. We are bringing back an old friend. Now, this is a Pokemon that, you know, and you'll know who it is if you know my thought process behind this as we go through this little story. Every league I'm part of, every league style tournament I'm in, there will come a time, be it early or late, always, I will always have this thought no matter what I'm doing in whatever league, whatever tournament, I'll always have this thought, and it will come to me and I'll think, I really want this Pokemon on my team, I wish I had this Pokemon. And this Pokemon is Meloetta. Drop the Mic returns, Torkoal incidentally, LL Cool J of course, but Meloetta is returning to Parasect Germain after a couple of seasons in the wilderness. And yeah, there'll always be a time in League where I think, do you know who I really wish I had on my team? Meloetta. Because it's just so easy to lean on that base 128 special defense with an Assault Vest. Base 128 special attack 2, you don't need to invest in it too much. Base 100 HP is absolutely fine. I've been using Meloetta in the PIC Monotype tournament, and it's going really well. It's actually my top KO getter, and I've finally started using the Relic Song set to decent effect. So that's absolutely fine. I'm glad to have Meloetta back. Of course, 2 Pokemon in 1, it gives me a potential second offensive, very offensive fighting type, and can boost my somewhat lackluster speed on my team if I do go with the Relic Song set. But other than that, you know, massive move pool once again. It's another potential Cleric, which is very good. It's another T-Wave user, which actually that was my second T-Wave user on the team. I was really low on status moves. It gives me another knockoff Pokemon, it gives me potential initiative if I need to, and it's a very dangerous setup Pokemon too. So Meloetta is just a jack of many trades. It can do so much for me, and I've loved using it in the past, so hopefully I'm going to love using it again in the future. Final thoughts on it really, it's a ghost type immunity as well, which is good. They're difficult to come by sometimes. It gives me a bit of a weakness to Bug and Dark, but I have so many resists for them I'm not really bothered. So yeah, Meloetta back to the team, and glad that it is here. Now, coming to the last 2 picks, and at this point I had 9 million left to spend, which was more than most people did. Some people already finished their drafts by this point. But there were still a few things I needed. At this point I had 3 weaknesses to fighting along with only 2, sorry, 3 weaknesses to fighting along with only 2 resistances. And I had 3 weaknesses to ground with only 1 immunity. So I knew I needed resistances in a big way to ground and fighting. Definitely needed them. I also kind of wanted more status. I wanted more Will-O-Wisp, another Will-O-Wisp user. I only had 1. I wanted another T-Wave user. I only had 2. So I was looking at Pokemon that could do this for me, and a rather unlikely candidate reared its head. And it's an interesting one. It's it doesn't just resist ground and fighting. It's actually immune to them. It's immune to both ground and fighting. And it was 2 million, so it was very, very cheap. And I'm going to be interested to see how we do with this next pick, and that is going to be Misdreavus. I know, very interesting. Relatively poor stats across the board, generally, you know, 60, 60, 60, 85, 85, 85 is not fantastic, but you smack an Eviolite on that thing and it's bulkier than Mismagius, who I've also used, not to great effect. Misdreavus I'm hoping I can use more in the style I used Mismagius, but more effectively. I was kind of using Mismagius as this weird, defensive, tricksy hybrid, whereas in reality I should have been just going balls-to-the-wall offense with it. Now Misdreavus can do that defensive job a little bit better with the Eviolite. It has better defenses with the same HP stat, so that's going to be an interesting one to see if that can work out. Misdreavus, it can also run very useful setup options. You know, if ever you've gone into PU and you run into Misdreavus, you can know it can be very difficult to deal with, because you get a Calm Mind or a Nasty Plot up and suddenly you're looking pretty good, especially if I was running a dedicated Calm Mind defensive set with a Will-O-Wisp maybe. You know, the options are there for Misdreavus. I think it can do quite well here. Again, I don't think it's going to be getting too many KOs. It's not going to be like my biggest special attacker, God forbid. But you know, I think it can do a decent job. I'm looking forward to using it. It's a ghost type, you know, new typing that I didn't have before. I haven't actually doubled up on any typings at all in this league, which is quite cool. And yeah, I got Misdreavus for cheap, so yeah, absolutely fine, happy with that. Misdreavus 5CL is the nickname because that is the general volume of a miniature of like whiskey or vodka or something. So you know, it's just a little spirit. Yeah, I had fun with nicknames on this one as well. So Misdreavus is the penultimate pick for my team. And yeah, that's going to be one of the sort of interesting ones. I'm certain that analysts will pick up on that and be like, oh, it's going to be interesting to see how he uses that. And I think it will. So, moving on, final pick. The 11th pick of the team. Now, some people, again, had finished by now. I had 7 million left to spend, so I could pick up something pretty good. But I did take a last pick. And it is an interesting one. Doesn't necessarily fit towards defensive synergy on the team by dint of what it is. What I was noticing about my team was that it was, as far as speed goes, it was middling. You know, I've got a lot of 80s and 70s in speed tiers there. So it was kind of middling. But I think I found a way around it with this last pick. I didn't spend all my money. I spent 4 million on this last pick. And this was one Pokemon that I've wanted to use in format for a while. When this draft happened, this was the Pokemon I was always going to pick last. I was fairly sure I wouldn't be sniped. No matter what happened, I was going to take this Pokemon. And that is going to be my final selection, Ninjask. Yep. Shout out to MBZ because the fucking man is back. Yeah. It seems that every season now I'm sort of taking a Pokemon that MBZ has made famous or infamous. So we've got Ninjask, the fucking man, with base 160 speed. This is the highest stat on my team. And of course, speed boost and baton pass. This is what I'm hoping will give me the edge with some of my low speed tiers. You know, people are going to be expecting this, but also it's got base 90 attack, which isn't bad. Ninjask can be an offensive threat in its own right, and you'd be amazed how well it can take certain hits. You know, it's got a quad resistance to grass, a quad resistance to fighting. So even with base 45 defense and base 50 speed F, it can still take a hit and hit those things back super effectively. You know, if I can bring it in on the predicted grass or fighting type move, bring it in, take that hit, go for protect, get my speed boost, and suddenly I'm ready to hit them up with a super effective aerial ace. All words to that effect. But yeah, Ninjask is something I really wanted to use. You know, I had a lot of success with the 4 million rated Scyther a couple seasons back, so hopefully Ninjask can do similar things, or at least have similar success in both an offensive and a team support role. So, that, ladies and gentlemen, is my team. To go over them really quickly once again, we have Parasect Germain Season 4 roster of Excadrill, Mega-Venusaur, Florges, Hitmontop, Greninja, Tyrantrum, Electros, Torkoal, Meloetta, Misdreavus, and Ninjask. So, that's squad, gang. What do you think? Let me know where you think the strengths and weaknesses of this team are. I'm aware of some of them, but it's always nice to hear what you guys think. When it comes to the PPL, you guys' support is always immense. You're always turning out to watch the games and support PSG, so thank you all so much for that. Let's hope we can continue into Season 4. And ideally have a better time than we did last season, and hope to try and emulate a bit more of Season 2 with this squad. First game, that's going to be against the newly promoted and good friend of mine, PaullyMac, and Thunderbolt and Wanderers. His team is absolutely terrifying. He's got some powerful bulk and some really nasty hard hitters. So, going to be interesting to see if we can get off the mark with a win. We've never lost our first game, touch wood. So let's hope we can get off to a good start. That'll be going up sometime next week. It's all happening very quickly and very soon. So, keep your eyes peeled for the first game, team builder, whatever happening. I should say, the pre-game entertainment probably won't be happening this season. I'll tell you why. I know it's been a major part of last season. People really turned out and enjoyed those raps. But the sad fact of the matter is I just don't have time. You know, with my job, 9 to 5:30, Monday to Friday, I love it, but it takes up, obviously, most of my day. It's my job. I'm also involved with a tournament, the Token Minorities Summer Showdown Tournament, I'm involved with that. Occasional CCL games if they're still happening. You know, we're trying to look into the the playoff matches for for the SMD League, the Monotooi League that's still going on. There's so much stuff going on. I just don't have time. If I have time, I of course will do the pre-game entertainment diss traps. Of course I will, but it's just a reality that it might not happen. But the video is hopefully going up sometime next week, so keep your eyes peeled for all of them. Very exciting times. First game against Paul. It's going to be a good one. Keep your eyes open. It'll be happening soon. But that's going to be it from me. It's 35 minutes into this video. I've rambled on far too long. So my final thank you to you all for watching. Keep supporting Parasect Germain, guys. We are going for the top. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.